Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. We have 3 new movies here for you folks. So we're starting with Ash, directed by Flying Lotus. We then have Alto Knights by Barry Levinson. And finally, the big one of the week, we have Snow White, directed by Mark Webb. So let's get Vincent Daly in here, folks, see what he has to say about these films. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Mr. Vincent Daly, how we doing over there, buddy?
Tommy boy, how's it going?
It's going okay on this side of the table. How was your new releases, buddy?
It was good, honestly.
All theater too. No,
yeah.
no digital release.
Right. I mean, I could definitely have some comments of if they deserve to be on streaming or not, but
That's a constant conversation we have, I think.
Yeah, I think it really is. But for the birds, and I'm certainly glad it was just a 3-spot this week. I mean, I'm glad to get to all these new movies.
Yeah.
But like we were talking a little bit before, the mics turned on, work is, for both of us, super fun right now. So we're thankful of these kind of 3 spots. So, but yeah, despite these movies, well, I can't really say all have controversy.
What?
Really, only Snow White has controversy to it.
Yes, but Snow White has enough controversies to spread out among all the films.
It's so true.
Because it's not just one.
So true. Yeah, exactly. There's almost like 2 to go around for each, all under Snow White. But I, for what it's worth, I really enjoyed reviewing these movies just because it wasn't something, it wasn't cut and dry. I think there's a lot of gray area on all 3 of these movies. So.
Right. Okay, cool. Any other opening notes? Is that that's pretty
No,
basic.
I don't got any trailer talk. I mean, I really probably watched all the trailers for the quarter. So,
well, trailer talk for me is almost the trailer, but almost the teaser to the trailer.
Okay,
came out for Paul Thomas Anderson's new film.
Oh yeah, that's right. I haven't seen this yet.
Okay, I didn't see it either.
Yeah.
And my thing is, if there's one guy's trailer that I feel like watching, it would be Paul Thomas Anderson because he cuts him himself. Mm-hmm. But something tells me I'm just gonna stay away.
Yep.
It was supposed to come out in the middle of summer.
What is it called again?
They pushed it.
It's not the one with Timmy, right? It's
correct. It's Leo.
Yeah,
they're
that's
finally
right.
teaming up. He's wanted to work with Leo since Boogie Nights.
Oh, wow.
Because he was supposed to be Mark Wahlberg's spot. Anyway, I forget. You know what? The funny thing, I forget the name of it because for so long it was operating off of the Battle of Bacton Cross or something like that, and then they just changed to what the actual name is.
Yeah, thank God.
Totally forgot what it is. But they pushed the release date. It was supposed to be midsummer, and now it's going to be pushed in September, which I think is good because that September-October release stuff is typically for like big movies.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, definitely moving towards quarter 4. I mean, we experienced this year where like the Oscars and award season, I mean, they have a very short goldfish memory of what is actually even worth, nominating. So if you want you want to be in an award season, you got to put yourself in that slot.
And that's why we have these 3 movies this week for March still. We're going to start with the sci-fi thriller first.
Yeah.
This seems to me like a very, very small film. Very low budget film, but it kind of seems cool. I was looking at some of the stills, some of the artwork from it.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's got style at least. The film is called Ash, and it's by director Flying Lotus.
Yeah, first time.
Which Flying Lotus isn't a band name, but it is a music composer.
Yeah. The Flying Lotus is his stage name, and I think he just goes by Lotus now.
Okay, he's credited as Flying Lotus.
Yes.
And this isn't like he has filmed some other stuff.
Yep.
But he does come from the music world.
Yeah.
Okay, sci-fi thriller. Ash, set it up for us. How'd you like it?
For our first Shudder release of the year,
That's right.
Yeah. Really, Shudder is something that I've been kind of keeping my eye on, just from last year's hit, Late Night with the Devil. For the first release this year, this is a movie I shouted out in our Hype for the Year segment, mostly because of who is in the director's chair. This is the first feature from electronic producer and artist Flying Lotus, which, if you lived on the internet through the 2010s, you would have crossed paths with, most likely through his many, many collabs. He's already composed for plenty of film projects, including this movie directly, but directing-wise, he's only made short film contributions to other projects. I would say probably most notably is the VHS horror anthology series, where I don't even know how many there are. I want to say ballpark 6 separate VHS movies, and they are just not stopping, because it's basically just a bunch of short stories, horror short stories, and all kind of themed around, found on a VHS.
Right, they're not old enough to be on VHS. This is a new movie that they're trying to do. A concept of almost vignettes.
Yes,
correct?
Exactly. Bingo. But now kind of seeing him break into his own movies with a sci-fi horror backed by, I'll say it, a studio with a shockingly good track record recently. Definitely punching above what Shudder should be, honestly.
Did you see the executive producer on it?
No.
It's Neil Blomkamp.
Oh, really? I did not
Who was in the news, I think, on last week's news podcast.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be doing the reboot of Starship Troopers.
Which is so crazy. Between that and The Running Man, I just wouldn't put money on those franchises actually making their way to having,
I disagree.
Being remade. I mean, Running Man and Starship Troopers.
Here's the thing, though. You have to think of, I think maybe this is, if you're going to do reboots, this is the way to do reboots. The films weren't huge successes and not loved by a lot of people, but it has a small cult following, and the idea behind them is incredible.
Sure.
So the original Running Man, we have it rated on this on the site. The original Running Man is kind of forgotten by all, but the premise is fantastic.
Right.
Read the 3 lines of what the film's about, and it's do that.
Absolutely.
So maybe in the hands with another big actor like Glenn Powell, then Edgar Wright doing it, maybe Running Man actually has a better second life.
It just feels so surreal that we're talking about Edgar Wright's Running Man. What
the
hell
is
going
crazy.
on?
And Neil Blomkamp, I said in the news show when this came out, but I think he could make a pretty cool Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
And he personally said he doesn't want to look at the 1997 film.
Right.
He wants to go back to the original material
and
recreate just another movie.
Yeah, right. Which Paul Verhoeven's, we obviously covered that when we did Verhoeven as a study on the podcast.
You bring it up once in a while.
A very satirical movie. It is not meant to be taken seriously. And I know in the long line of directors not agreeing with the original authors, Starship Troopers is one of those that the original author hates the movie.
Oh,
so
interesting. Okay. There's
definitely some bandwidth there as far as what could be done and what Blomkamp could do. But I gotta say, Blomkamp, he's our fallen star. He's our golden boy no longer.
Is he a Oat Studio guy?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Blomkamp.
Which Netflix hosts them now.
Yeah.
As far as their content goes, we'll see. I've got faith for him on that.
Right.
And the fact that you say how to Shudder survive. I always said that. Elijah Wood was not pivotal, but Elijah Wood played a role in the very early days of Shudder.
Absolutely.
And if you have big directors supporting this horror streaming service, Shudder, maybe we'll,
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm pulling for this one, and on the podcast, I go back and it's just I don't know why this kind of sits in my heart in a good way.
Especially when you don't like horror movies.
I don't care at all. I just, for some reason, I like that it exists because it's such a small thing and growing organically in a way where instead of you have these big players, Amazon, Apple, whatever, and they can show out, they can throw out whatever schlock they want.
Absolutely.
Where Shudder's just almost every single thing is pivotal in the repertoire.
Yeah, and they need hits, and they're gunning for hits, to make a difference. But
sorry, that was a long tangent. We took you down.
No, it's fine. But yeah, Ash is an extremely psychedelic and atmospheric sci-fi horror that, story-wise, I'll be honest, might not separate itself from plenty of other movies in the genre, but stylistically is still worth checking out. We follow 6 crew members who are part of the 7th and final mission to colonize a distant planet in hopes of renewing humanity's claim in the galaxy. Their destination is the livable but very harsh planet Ash, where the air they hope to breathe is seemingly controlled by something sinister, mysteriously connected to the origins of the planet. This information is only given to us piecemeal, however, as our main character, Rhea, awakes on the planet's surface wounded, alone, and with, get ready for it, amnesia.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Well, this really is a crutch, isn't it?
It's almost like a crutch for all of movies since the beginning of time. So, while the question, who am I, is uttered literally in the story many times, it becomes a double-edged sword as far as what Raya starts to experience. She starts to experience these existential horrors of the planet itself out of order and without a clue as to what is real. Isaac Gonzalez plays Raya, or Rhea. Maybe it's Rhea. Yeah, because Raya would just be R-Y-A. I think it's Rhea.
And this is what? This is...
she's from Baby Driver. That's what I recognize her
no,
from.
she's in stuff. I was talking about her name, how you spell it.
I think it's R-I-Y-A. Rhea,
right.
I guess. Raya?
Oh, okay, I would say Raya.
Yeah. For the rest of the review, though, she will be known as Moody Miss Moody Pants. Not that I really have too much to say about her. She really does just, unfortunately, falls into the type of Hispanic casting that is nothing more than attitude, even though the script really wasn't the focus for the performances here.
She was John Hamm's girl.
Yes,
in Baby Driver.
Yep.
Okay, just put a face to it. Yep.
And she, admittedly, she has been in stuff. I think she was the third lead in Ambulance.
Yep.
I reminded you of Ambulance.
She's in Fast. She's in Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yep. But unfortunately falls into some very cookie-cutter type of casting.
Yeah, not sure those are movies you want to remember.
Yeah, exactly. This is also the first script for writer Joni Remler, which just unfortunately highlights a few amateur qualities, especially in underutilizing these actors. I think a great instance of this is I really would love to tell you more about Aaron Paul or Iko Uwais in the film.
Right.
But despite being a decent name attached to the project, they are barely used at all in the story. Tom, this also has your pet peeve for any crew in space story that we talked about on an Alien episode, the dreaded forced fake chemistry around the table, usually after waking up from cryosleep.
I was trying to figure out where you were going with that. That is such a pet peeve.
Yeah,
it's
really
almost never done well.
I think you're totally justified with it too. That's a well-deserved
You know
pet
when you can
peeve.
really see it? Just watch The Martian again. And
right.
once when they get on the space shuttle after they lost what's-his-face, there's just, this horrible fake chemistry, or the beginning of that Alien one of the Alien movies.
Oh, yeah. Almost every Alien movie has that problem, to be honest, because it's like the kind of setup of the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's something very tough to do.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Because
it may not be a pet peeve on my end, but...
Here we go. We're in the spaceship. It's an hour and a half film. We need to get, here's this guy. Here's this stereotypical guy. Here's the woman that's not, not going to take any shit. All this kind of, yeah.
So true.
Here's the jokester.
Yeah, here's the jokester.
You always got the jokester.
Here's the hopeless romantic. And why is he on the ship at all?
Right.
Unfortunately, that's some of these stereotypes kind of hang heavy on this, but but it really made me laugh because I saw that scene. I was just like, man, I mean, Tom is dead on the money.
I did call it.
Yeah,
I forget what did we watch? Was it the Alien?
Yeah, I think it was probably Prometheus, but.
Okay.
Even the cliche of it happening after cryosleep, like it's like their first meal around the table.
Yes.
It's just like, all right, enough, Yeah, with some of those critiques out of the way, I do want to focus on why I think this is still worth something checking out, and it really is for its visual aesthetic and setting. I have a lot of appreciation for the planet itself. The planet of Ash itself is one of the coolest aspects of this movie. It's a hostile landscape that is carved by a never-ending gust of sand and will blind you to the horrors lurking in the shadows. Once this initial wave of confusion leaves you at the outset, the resounding question for the whole runtime is why the hell would they choose this planet for the 7th in 6 series of failed colonization efforts? Like, this is a horrible planet. I mean, you couldn't even argue this isn't
broken.
Yeah, this isn't even in the Goldilocks zone. But the answer to that, always got to weave in a little strong.
I'm sitting across Neil deGrasse Tyson here.
I know some terms. But the answer to that is where the atmosphere of this film really thrives. It's an almost psychedelic presence on the planet that leaves you questioning if it's just delusions of our characters or something much more real. And it's in these actually quieter moments that hooked me in a way that, I don't know, the story not necessarily was, but also way more than I think the story of this script could ever hook me. Mm-hmm. I was really about this film in those quiet moments that, I don't know, had me speculating over like what a Metroid movie might look like, or
oh really?
Yeah, just like almost no dialogue at all, but still sci-fi horror. I wonder what
And
that
style.
would really feel like, and like style leading it. And I feel like this was close to that. It's honestly the writing is where it's kind of brought down on some other ends of it, but it's really in these quiet moments that I think the film is worth checking out. It's also where the production design is, really far exceeded my expectations. And again, my expectations are a Shudder release. I hope to see something good. I hope to also not see something, atrociously bad that's going to sink the experience. There are a lot of touches that are a clear love letter to other projects. My favorite being a auto-dock robot that speaks in broken Japanese. It's very anime, very Ridley Scott. Feels like right out of Blade Runner, honestly.
Very cool.
Much like last year's Shudder hit Late Night with the Devil, like I mentioned, occasionally you are treated with, I'll call it, hyper-ambitious practical effects that look great. Admittedly, in here, it's used for some jump scares every now and again, but I don't want to spoil most of the shocking surprises because they were really impressive when they whipped them out of nowhere. This practical effects work, I really would put it alongside some of the early work that we touched on way back when in the podcast with Brandon Cronenberg's son.
Yeah. Just
for like how much their VFX team just love a time-lapsed melting effect. And you might say, like, oh, what is that supposed to look real for? But it's in these abstract horrors of the planet that melting effect is disturbing and effective, even though it may not be trying to look real per se of what's going on. And I was just really impressed with the VFX across the board for that reason. Folks, I really wish I could recommend this both as a strong sci-fi horror and a strong first film for our new director, but realistically, that might be setting expectations a bit too high. Instead, I think this is much more on brand with what I've come to expect from, we'll call it, the average Shudder release. Not bad, but not great. And sadly, might get lost in the shuffle of its own genre, especially in comparisons of what it feels like in sci-fi horror, but that's only despite having plenty to make it stand out on its own, and I'm definitely eager to see what comes out of Flying Lotus's shop next. We're going to go ahead and give Ash a 60 on the dot.
Oh, wow. Okay, 60% is pretty good for a smaller film like this. Did you look at the how much it cost to make?
No, I didn't.
$3 million.
That's more than I thought, honestly.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. I guess you do have 3.
It's in 1,200 theaters, or like that's impressive.
Right.
You know I mean?
I remember when I brought this up to you, you were like, are you sure that's going to be in theaters at all? And,
and it is. It is.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. So it's for an audience somewhere out there.
I think it's definitely a wait to get to streaming, and the silver lining there is everything's going to get to streaming
Yeah.
in 2 weeks' time.
Well, the thing is, okay, so Shudder, folks, by the way, it's attached to AMC as well. So you can pay real cheap and just get Shudder. If you're into horror movies, it's probably super recommended. Or pay a little bit more. It's still not that much. And you get AMC Plus and Shudder. I don't know what that gives you. I kind of thought about getting AMC Plus recently.
Oh, really?
For us. I don't know. I think it might be a sleeper hit.
A Halt and Catch Fire rewatch, maybe?
Well, I mean, that's one of the most underrated shows, actually. It's not even that it's a great show. It's the fact that no one talked about it. It's much better than not being talked about.
Right.
Anyway, that's that. One thing I'm not going to buy, which pisses me off, and I'm going to get to it later, actually, in the show, is MGM Plus.
Oh, right.
Amazon bought MGM.
Yep.
Why do we have Amazon Video?
Yeah, why is that not rolled into Amazon Prime?
You want me to pay for MGM Plus?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to move on to Bobby De Niro.
Oh, boy.
And boy, is Bobby... I'll tell you what. I was
Boy, is Bobby losing some De Niro.
I was thinking about this today. I don't mind. He's not stopping, and if anything, he's picking up work. I mean, he's doing a Netflix show.
Yeah, what is it? I've heard a lot of hype around this show. Yeah?
It's from my understanding, it's subpar.
Oh, okay.
It's cool that Robert De Niro is in a Netflix show, but my understanding is it's subpar.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is, like, you had Robert De Niro known as one of the best actors of all time. Then he does Meet the Fockers, which does well. And then there's
I love that you're starting the timeline at Meet the Fockers.
And then, well, as far as like second era Bobby,
yeah.
like middle to old aged Bobby, you know what I mean? He's doing this, or he did that one Mafia Family one. He was doing a lot of unserious films, and it was like, what's Bobby doing?
Yep.
He's one of the best actors ever. So I don't mind that, like, almost I would probably say post-Irishman, he's back in some serious roles.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to see.
He's also been behind the scenes on a lot of stuff. We talked about it,
been,
as far as the new studios out in Jersey and whatnot, and
that's
Brooklyn.
Right. Yeah.
He's definitely in more of like the business side of movie making.
Right, he's getting into real estate past restaurants now.
Yeah.
He's just not a Nobu guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for the birds. So this new film is called Alto Knights, and just the biggest deal about it is it's had almost zero marketing. It wasn't being pushed out to anybody.
Yep.
No one was talking about it. No one was looking forward to it. No one even knew about the film. And I think it's a shame because either make the film or don't make the film.
Yeah.
And if you make it a big deal.
You got to push it a little bit.
It's Robert De Niro playing two roles. The writer, who is, what's his name? Nicholas Pileggi. Nicholas Pileggi, I forget what paper he worked for, but was a known, very good columnist or reporter. He then wrote Goodfellas.
Yep.
And he wrote Casino.
Casino and American Gangster.
He wrote?
Yeah.
And he
From
produced,
what I
executive
understand,
produced on.
maybe I should have done a little bit deeper of a dive for this, but Alto Knights really wasn't great. It's his journalistic work on American crime that is the backbone, and then he got into kind of the business, if you will, of adapting these as screenplays.
Right. And he made a couple of books.
Yes.
Was Goodfellas a book?
Yes, I think it was called Wise Guys.
Oh my God. Yeah. So he wrote Wise Guys as well.
Yeah.
And then wrote the screenplay for the movie.
And all that research is obviously like cross-pollinating with itself because it's like, well, the Luciano family, well, you're going to know Gambino, you're going to know all this stuff.
So here he is at 82 years old, going back to The Well.
Yeah, for real.
My understanding that he's quite good friends with the head guy at Warner Brothers.
Okay.
So it's almost like a favor.
Interesting.
Or, hey, I'm going to do this for my friend type of deal.
Sure.
It's just like, and then you have Barry Levinson directing, who's done Wag the Dog, who's done Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Rain Man won 4 Oscars.
Yep.
But you look through his filmography in the 2000s, and it's like, this guy was on the top.
Oh, yeah.
He was literally on the top in the early 90s.
Yep.
Anyway, that's who we have. We have one of the best writers of all of Hollywood.
Sure.
We have one of the great directors of Hollywood.
Sure.
And one of the great actors of all of Hollywood. And we're dealing with mob material, which is one of the most beloved genres of all of America.
Almost like plug and play, like you're going to make some money on a mob flick,
I won't beat it to death. It's called Alto Knights. It's just a tad over 2 hours. Vin, Set it up for us. Tell us about Alto Knights.
Well, like you said, Tom, De Niro plays two roles in this, and what do you know? You got two Bobbies for the price of one De Niro. Folks, rather than connecting these characters in any way that makes sense, De Niro just plays two separate real-life mobsters for the hell of it, and I cannot begin to tell you how much of a mistake that is. Like we just mentioned, the real reason anyone cares about this at all is for the writer slot. Nicholas Pileggi might not be the first name you think of these like epic mob movies, but once again, his journalistic work is the backbone of Goodfellas, Casino, and even our recently covered American Gangster. He really lives in this space.
He executive produced Irishman as well.
That makes sense. So, you're kind of looking at the pieces, almost like how you introduced Tom, and saying like, what could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Right, how is it going to be bad?
Yeah, it's got all the pieces in place. The Alto Knights is a biographical crime drama that shows two partners in crime pitted against each other amidst the FBI cracking down on the mafia. We center this story on two sides of the same coin. Vito Genovese and Frank Costello, both integral in securing the Luciano crime family its seat of power on the west side of Manhattan. While Vito is hot-tempered and pretty much an attack dog, Frank is the calm and collected leash that has organized the family through 3 decades of opportunity and thrives as one of what will become the Big Five. Polar opposite styles may have complemented each other for the rise to power, but now returning from a hiatus in Italy, Vito seeks to reclaim his vision of the American dream, regardless of what Frank advises. With the heat growing every year, we see Vito's recklessness reach a peak in 1957, where he attempts a hit on his once dear friend Frank. All of this swirling around the Prohibition artifact and shared hideout, the Alto Knights Social Club. I think the real make or break for this movie, and I want to lead with this, is that how much do you value its or how much do you accept its painful blandness for biographical accuracy? Because this definitely does blur the line on documentary for how much source material pulls from, how truly accurate it is, folks.
So it is accurate, or are we just kind of hoping it is?
No, it is accurate.
Okay, all right.
It would be way too much of a deep dive, but, folks, you want me to do a Mafia history special, donate in. Maybe that's a director tier. A whole special. But it is also unusually, painfully bland. Our director, Barry Livingston, has done plenty of good work in the past. Like you introduced, Tom, almost every ounce of this film, however, feels cookie-cutter and by the books, which personally for me is a sentence worse than death when it comes to a crime movie, no less like a mafia movie. A crime movie should be fun, most of all. You know what I mean? Take a lesson from every successful crime movie ever, going back to the 70s. Most glaring among these is something we've talked plenty about on the podcast. The inescapable vortex of feeling like Goodfellas sways nearly every crime movie post its release in 1990. But Alto Knights is especially obnoxious through its style leeching in everything from De Niro having constant narration over the film to even the editing using Scorsese's iconic freeze frame cuts that really were like iconic to Goodfellas specifically. It really feels like Pileggi, I don't know how involved he was in the actual crafting of the film alongside Barry Livingston, but I can't really save Livingston's reputation here because it really feels like he just wanted to make his take on Goodfellas, and it is a pale imitation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A bland, boring, pale imitation. On the other hand, I will say a lot is done to synthesize real photos and true events with our actors, which gives this a certain level of production quality that stands above your average, A&E mob documentary. I actually might be, I might be dating myself.
Perfect.
Is A&E even still around?
Let's just say it is. Yeah. That's exactly. I know exactly what this is.
You know what
now.
I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The by the books mob documentary.
If I'm sick at home. And there's literally nothing on. The Price is Right just ended.
You're right.
maybe I'll have this on.
Absolutely. A&E used to really make their buck on these mob docs, but who knows? I think it's all just intervention now. But a really great early example of this is Livingston splicing together footage of one of the few times Frank was publicly photographed at a Louis Prima concert, of all things.
Oh, cool.
I'll admit, it's a little busy in the edit, but it's a challenge the film tackles time over time, and I think does a decent job at. Where I did not enjoy this was when this kind of burdens the film, and when these true story elements really are just kind of like, I don't know, blocked by De Niro specifically clearly playing two separate mafiosos. There is extensive footage pulled from one of the congressional hearings. I think this might be 1955 in the timeline, and that Frank appears on and is not saying just I plead the fifth. He's actually giving in a little bit. And the footage splicing, instead of being clever, instead of being a challenge that Livingston takes on, instead awkwardly cuts to De Niro's hands anytime Frank is speaking in the footage. And it's like, well, that's a moment where maybe I could have just taken De Niro with a black and white filter or, I don't know, an old TV flicker to the footage. And I think I would have connected the dots a little bit on the reality of what you're trying to get across here. It's really tough because I kind of respect what's being done to bridge drama and documentary. At the same time, though, like I opened up with, De Niro is really what cripples this whole project. I think two De Niros was a huge mistake. Big
I think
surprise.
that was his idea too.
Oh, really? I bet. It's a big mistake, and I think it boils down to what we know De Niro to be. Frank Costello, I think his acting fits just fine, especially in the level-headed strategist angle that so many of his bodies enroll. I'm talking, him in Heat, him in Goodfellas. It's that level-headedness, and when he cracks, it's something spectacular. Vito Genovese, however, is a total miscast. What should be a fiery, chaotic, self-described Vesuvian gangster is constantly doused in the most angry old man acting I've seen in a while. It really is. It's pathetic. He's like, the fact that he's trying to be threatening, it's a joke. It certainly wouldn't help the comparisons to Goodfellas, but I'm here to say, if you watch this movie, folks, I challenge you to watch this and not imagine Joe Pesci doing a perfect job as Vito in every scene that he's in.
Right, it's a Pesci role.
Yeah, it's a Pesci role. It probably would have helped the marketing of the film. It maybe wouldn't have helped its critical reception after its release. I certainly would have been dragging it a little bit more for saying oh, it's just literally Goodfellas now.
Right,
It is just, man, every scene that Vito is portrayed is just wrong, and I can't help but say De Niro did not have enough range in his acting styles.
He doesn't have the juice in that. Yeah.
There's just too little of De Niro to go around. He needed to switch things up, maybe even drastically, to create this divide between these two characters. Most of all, if the geriatric flair of The Irishman killed some of the gangster lethality of that movie for you, it is even worse here. Everyone is so old. Everyone is so old. Countless moments lack any of the dangerous charisma that is the key to any mob movie formula. It's kind of like that attraction, that dangerous attraction that you get pulled in, that you're still kind of entertained by, but there's still lethality there. There's still stakes. I would have an easier time believing one of these gangsters died by choking on rum raisin than strangling someone with a piano wire.
Shout out rum raisin. I just had rum raisin this past weekend.
I knew it was
my favorite ice cream, man. Number one. But seriously, there's a scene with De Niro. He's doing the garrote. He's strangling someone with a piano wire. And it's just what? It doesn't look lethal, man. That dude's gonna get up after you leave. But seriously, I think what I'm walking away with this is that with such little fire in this cast, not even just De Niro, it's a very old cast across the board.
It just really comes off as a toothless gangster film and just simply not worth your time. We're going to go ahead and give The Alto Knights a 42.
Hey, 42%.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be on Max in no time, folks.
Yeah, for real.
It's got a wide release. It's in a bunch of theaters, and it made less than $2 million.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe this could thrive in a streaming setting where it's like it's going to maybe reach an older audience, an older demographic that's just going to say, oh, it's De Niro. Let me put this on.
People will throw it on because it's a mob movie they've never seen before.
Bingo.
And it's got Bobby in it.
Absolutely. But I would say a good tick worse than even like the Sopranos movie that we covered way back when.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A good tick worse than, I don't know, almost any mob movie just because, again, it was just really burdened by just like a very old cast and just lacking that just fundamental charisma. Yeah, the oomph. Absolutely. So,
and you know what? Probably part of the issue is it's going back to the well that we visited since 1990.
Oh, for sure.
Many, many, many times.
Absolutely.
And if anything, if you want to do a mob movie at this point, it's almost like you've got to go back to when the mob first arrived here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And go back to the 1920s and stuff.
Yep.
To tell like a fresh story because this has been told before in film. So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It really is tough. Despite, again, like I said, what could go wrong? You have all the winning cards in your hand. It still comes down to execution.
Well, and it's why no one's even heard of this film. I think Warner Brothers know it has stinker on their hands.
Yeah.
So 42% for The Alto Knights.
Yeah.
I forgot to put the in.
I did too.
Before we get to our last film, though, folks, let's just remind people that Vin and I are going off the value for value model here at the Daily Ratings. We're not advertising model or advertising based. We're not going to have a tier structure. There's not going to be a paywall. It's not pay to access content. It's not pay to play or anything like that. Everything that Vin and I do every single week technically is free. But the idea is if that you're using the website, if you're enjoying the podcast, we look at that as value in your pocket. Can you send us value back in our pocket? It's the value for value model. It's a clean operation here. They just start listening to more podcasts and just the absurd amount of ads they throw in there.
So true.
The biggest thing is the automated ads recently.
Okay.
The ones where it's not...
Like, it's not in the recording. It's cut over it by, like, the service.
Right, exactly. The ads, exactly what it is.
Like Spotify does that.
The timing of it is so terrible. It's mid-sentence someone is speaking. The audio never matches up, so it's blasting your ears out or something like that, or coming through your car and just like, There's advertising. It's so bad on podcasts. I've stopped listening to 2 podcasts
because
I actually enjoy.
Wow.
I enjoy the people on the podcast themselves.
Yeah.
The ads have doubled since I've started listening to it, and it's actually even more than doubled, and they started doing the insert ads.
Wow.
And they didn't change the times of how long the episodes are, meaning I get way less content. I feel like the product.
Sure.
I feel like we need to just get the downloads we need to so we can give those downloads to advertising companies and get more advertisers to pitch towards us. It's just like there's a grossness to it.
Yep.
Anyway, we're not doing it that way. We are completely listener-supported. We're producer-supported because anybody who ever donates money into us is an actual legitimate producer of the Daily Ratings. Just like in Hollywood, when you financially support a project, you're a producer of the project, and that's how we're doing it. So head on to thedailyratings.com and go to the donations tab, and all the information is right there for you. We do have some set donations, but also there's the big value for value button right there. And you click that. It's any amount that you want to send in. Everyone's on their own finances. Everyone's week to week is completely different. That's why we don't force you to pay a certain amount, whether it's $5, $50, or $500. Everyone's got their own thing going on. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. This week, by the way, we do have our monthly producer, Linda Schiller, coming in with her monthly movie ticket for you, Vincent Daly.
That's great.
So, Linda, you are executive producer of episode 179. As always, we thank you so much. Anytime you want to send in a note, you have questions, comments, critiques, you want to add something to the conversation, anything to get off your chest, just write in, and of course, we'll give you a shout out here on the producer segment. Folks, when you become a producer, don't forget to send in a note. So just like I said, when you send in your donation, you can then email us a note. Our email, by the way, is tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. You email us there, and your producer note can be Questions, comments, critiques, anything you want to say, anything you want to ask, treat it like an Ask Us Anything. The idea is that if you're going to be a producer, we want to do more than just give you a thanks. We want to bring you into the conversation. So again, it's at dailyratings.com. Head to the donations tab and become a producer of the Daily Ratings. Linda, as always, thank you for your monthly donation. We appreciate you so much. Executive producer of episode 179. Okay, folks, and with that, Vincent Daly, before we get on to Miss Snow White, we have a big announcement because it's time for Tom's birthday movies. And I lost the MP3.
yeah. I was gonna wait for maybe in post.
I don't know.
Add a little
I don't
sticker.
know where the jingle went. I have no idea where the jingle went, so I just said it myself. But folks, as you always know, early April is just around the corner.
Yeah.
And for the past couple of years, I get 52 weeks of the year, and I get one of those weeks. When it's my birthday, it's time for me to pick the movies. So
I love that this is like your only time, too.
It is my only time. I mean, we finally started watching John Wayne movies, which is great during the summer. But no, it's time for Tom's birthday movies. Whatever I say goes.
Okay.
The power is tantalizing. I can't even begin to tell you how amazing it is.
Out.
I have been working on this list. My list is huge.
Yes.
I have a list of 25 films.
Yep.
And then I brought it down to, okay, what's actually possible? What are we going to do?
Yep.
So I'm in charge of, by the way, folks, so birthday week is going to be coming out second week of April.
Yes.
So next week is normal episode. The week after that is birthday episode.
Yes, and this is technically overwriting. I mean, not that I really care. I certainly don't.
No.
But this is overwriting Minecraft and one other.
Who needs Joseph Momoa when you got me? So it's for 2 weeks, folks. But we give it 2 weeks early so everybody can prep if you want to watch it yourselves.
Absolutely.
All the fun stuff. I don't know what to do here. I kind of have my main 5. I get 5 films, by the way.
Okay.
Do I just give you my main 5, or do I give you all 8? And let you choose.
Really, if you want me to choose, I would say all 8. But if you have a main 5, I say let's just do the main 5.
Yeah, well, you're not doing 8.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But if you have a preferred 5, let's just do those.
I will tell you the 5 I have.
Okay.
And I will say here are my other 3.
Right.
And you get 1 veto.
Oh,
and you can throw one if you want. Okay.
Love that.
And then I'll decide if I actually
approve the veto.
Okay, folks. So if anybody wants to follow along, here are the movies that we're going to be covering in 2 weeks for Tom's birthday movies. They're not.
They're always surprising.
Not the sexiest names. I don't know. This might be one of the worst episodes we had in a long time. But it's my birthday. We'll start with newest and go to oldest.
Okay. Yeah.
First up, we have 2013's.
Oh, okay.
Starred Up.
Okay. I have no idea.
Starred Up, by the way, and you can find on Amazon right now or rent it off Amazon. I'll let you know when you go where you could all see it. Starred Up is a prison movie.
Oh.
And something about, I don't know, when I was making this list or put this on the list, I was in the mood for prison movies.
Okay.
And I think there's not enough of them, and yet sometimes they're really good.
Sure.
So this movie, Starred Up, I think it's very English. I don't even think it's got an MPAA rating. It's 2013. The director, though, is David Mackenzie.
Okay.
Who has done Hell or High Water.
Oh.
And he's also went on to do, what else? Oh, Outlaw King.
Yeah.
And before, one of his earliest films was one called Perfect Sense, which is on a compilation of ours.
Yeah, I love Perfect Sense.
What is that? What is that?
It's
Why is it on a
kind of
compilation?
an odd, almost romance horror. It's odd to say that. It's not very horror at all.
Okay.
But almost like apocalyptic romance.
Is it cosmic horror?
No, it kind of the world is ending and it's a romance.
What compilation is it on?
It might be deep cut sci-fi, honestly.
You know what? I think that's what it is.
Yep. I love Perfect Sense. Oh, this is awesome.
Okay,
yeah.
so David Mackenzie is the director.
Cool.
And this is back before Hell or High Water really kind of blew him up.
Yeah, sure.
It's a smaller budget, and it's a prison movie, and one of the main stars is Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, okay.
Who I absolutely love. A lot of you guys might know him as bad guy from Rogue One.
Bad guy in a lot of things.
Well, that's true, too. He's also in Andor, I think, too.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Okay, so Start Up 2013.
Okay.
Next, we are going
That's the earliest.
That's the earliest.
Damn. No Battleship Potemkin this time, this year.
No. Okay,
no
so
early Soviet
this
films
right here.
that you're throwing at me to review.
Okay, the next newest film is a 1971 film.
Wait, what did he mean? I thought you said this was 2013 was the earliest.
No. We go from newest to oldest.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
So we might
Hit
have
me with
Battleship.
it. Yeah, we might.
Okay, so start up 2013. Next newest film, film from 1971. This is
jump.
This is kind of a dark comedy medical drama. The lead actor in this film was nominated for an Oscar for lead actor. It won the Oscar for original screenplay. This is George C. Scott in 1971's The Hospital.
Oh, wow. It's just called The Hospital.
I think it was I don't even know. It kind of counted as a TV movie. I don't even know. By the way, this one, you can rent this on Amazon.
Yep.
Don't do it.
Oh.
It's free with ads on YouTube.
Okay. Interesting.
The audio is not synced properly.
On Amazon.
On the Amazon one.
Damn.
Very annoying.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's called The Hospital. It's George C. Scott.
Well, George C. Scott, I'm in.
I have to throw George C. Scott.
Hell yeah.
Have to throw George C. Scott.
I'm disappointed maybe we couldn't get a more mainline George C. Scott,
Well,
but, was anything else?
We're going through stuff. First of all, I think at point I've steered you in good directions with George C. Scott.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year's birthday was Anatomy of a Murder.
Yes. Yep.
Which you kind of like that movie, but you love George C. Scott
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
And then
Killer in it.
Then we watched Hardcore.
Yep.
Which I might return to again because he's just fantastic in it. Okay, next birthday movie. We're jumping to 1957.
Jesus.
This movie, it's under an hour and a half. This is Paths of Glory.
Paths of Glory?
Directed by Stanley Kubrick.
Oh.
Starring Kirk Douglas.
Okay.
And it is a World War II movie.
Excellent.
Oh, shit. Wait, no. World War I movie.
Wow.
World War I movie. It's very highly rated, oftentimes forgotten about, but it's Stanley Kubrick and Kirk Douglas.
Well, definitely, like, Kubrick in the 50s is way before it's like Kubrick as we know him, but that's awesome. I love that. I'm always eager to tackle something that I haven't seen from, a director I love.
It's an hour and 28 minutes. Paths of Glory, you can rent it on Amazon or it's on MGM Plus.
Oh, that's okay. So that's where MGM Plus came in.
Yeah. Oh, and so is The Hospital. It's on MGM Plus.
Is it fixed on MGM Plus?
I don't even know. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not going to get MGM Plus. You kidding me? It's free for you, free on YouTube. The Hospital.
Yeah,
Paths of Glory you can rent on Amazon. We're jumping
This
down.
is already insane as far as a lift goes.
Next one is on Max. So if you have a normal streaming service, Max. This is from 1953.
Okay.
The movie is called The Wages of Fear.
Oh, okay.
Does it ring any bells to you?
Slightly, but definitely not any inkling of like what it brings.
So The Wages of Fear is based off of a book called The Wages of Fear.
Okay.
But this movie was redone in the 70s by the name of Sorcerer.
Oh, wow.
This is the original book and the original film that Sorcerer is based off of.
Oh, that's awesome.
Folks, we haven't covered Sorcerer on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I remember when Vin found this, he was freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
It took me a while to watch it, and I was like, this is one of the best movies.
Yeah,
I freaking love this
crazy
movie. Sorcerer in the 70s is phenomenal. This is the original content. So,
Okay.
The Wages of Fear, 1953.
I love it.
Okay. And last one, we're jumping to 1940.
Okay.
This is a John Ford film.
Okay.
But this is The Long Voyage Home.
Okay.
Also available on Max, by the way.
Great.
If you don't have Max, if everyone listening is somewhat interested in this, it's available on YouTube. I think without ads, too. It's just
really?
free. Yeah, it's just old. It's from 1940.
Yeah, I guess we're getting to that point, too.
John Wayne is in this. John Wayne plays a Scandinavian man. At times, his accent is totally fine.
Okay.
And at times, John Wayne's accent is the worst accent work I've ever seen in my entire life.
I can't wait.
This movie is The Long Voyage Home is just basically about the life at sea, about transport steamer ships that are actually called tramps. A tramp, I didn't realize
know that
but
either.
a tramp is also like a steamer ship back in the day.
Okay.
But it's about the type of men who spend their lives at sea.
Wow.
The Long Voyage Home, like I said, it's you're going to see some familiar faces in it. Most of all, Ward Bond is in this. Ward Bond, lifelong friend of John Wayne.
And great actor.
Great actor in some westerns we've seen. Also, shares my birthday.
So this can't be removed. That needs to be on there.
It needs to be on there. I got to give the shout out to Ward Bond. And you know how people have the birthday game? What celebrities on your birthday?
Right.
I have the best.
Really?
I have Ward Bond and Kristen Stewart. I'm so okay. And then there's Hugh
Define
Hefner
best.
and Lil Nas X. But
Oh, really?
Yeah, but no. All I need is Ward Bond and Kristen Stewart. It's the best of both worlds, honestly.
Wow. That's going to be your pickup line for Kristen Stewart if you ever meet her. It's just like, did you know you're born on Ward Bond?
I have a great... And I purchased Charlie's Angels on Amazon. Probably the only person who ever bought that.
Definitely the only person.
Okay, so anyway, my birthday movies, folks. 2013 Starred Up. You can find it on Amazon or rent it on Amazon. We then have 1971's The Hospital. It's free with ads on YouTube.
Okay.
Paths of Glory from 1957. Again, you can rent that. And then The Wages of Fear on Max and The Long Voyage Home, 1940 on Max or YouTube.
Wow.
Okay.
I probably said this last year, and I probably said it the year before. If I had a gun to my head, Tom,
I know you would know.
I could not have guessed single one.
So I promise you I don't purposely make them so obscure.
Right. Esoteric.
I had a very long list. I
Yeah.
still have an ongoing list. Some I watched and took off. Some I liked that just didn't want to put in birthday movies. And some were so crazy, I took them off.
Oh,
because
right.
I want to enjoy them.
Right.
And I've seen some of these, and some of them, like I said, I've kind of stayed. So
Okay,
I
okay.
haven't seen Start Up. I haven't seen Paths of Glory.
Okay.
I haven't watched those. I haven't seen. I saw the other three.
Interesting.
My three alternatives.
All right.
If you're really not feeling a movie, you need to swap them out.
I'll say just my only one is that I really love that you found Wages of Fear being related to Sorcerer. I would just love to pair those two together just because I feel like if I'm talking about Sorcerer, I want to watch Sorcerer a little bit and give that film some love on the podcast.
Okay.
So.
Says the man who didn't want to watch the original Snow White because he thought it would hurt the review of the newest Snow White. But okay, that's fine. I like that.
Yep. I like that too.
A little peek behind the curtain there, folks. Okay, but anyway, 2018's Bradley Cooper directed A Star Is Born.
Oh, and you've been talking this up.
Haven't been talking it up. I have talked about it before. But it's more so a fact. It's like a newer film that you haven't seen.
Yeah, true. I haven't.
And we were talking about it a lot around the time of Maestro because I feel like the performances on this are great. Anytime I talk about Lady Gaga acting, this is where it's coming from.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And Bradley's great. Bradley's great both in directing chair and acting. So I just put that on. Star is Born from 2018. I then have 1985, a Japan food movie called Tampopo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that has ever come across your desk.
No. How's it spelled? T-A-M-P?
Tampopo.
Oh, Tampopo.
Tampopo.
Wow, okay.
1985, also on Max.
Okay.
So easy to find. I was going through stuff. I think this is right around when I had watched Taste of Things. And I was in the movie for food movies.
Yeah.
I had listened to one podcast and also did some research online, and this came up multiple times.
Okay.
All Japanese. It's an easier, smaller film. But I started this. I didn't finish it.
Okay.
And there just happens to be a cute opening that's not part of the movie. It's like Welcome to the Movies type stuff.
Oh, okay.
Almost like a Tom Cruise, real jets, real G's. But the man doing it,
Yep.
I just feel understood in the beginning of this film. We'll just put it there.
Well, I'm very curious
We'll
about
leave it there.
now.
And then what are the other movie I have? Oh, as far as a George C. Scott alternative, I do have 1970s Patton.
Oh, my God.
But, okay, here's the thing.
Come on.
But why don't you...
That's a heavy hitter. You're talking about SEO and
Why don't you just cover Patton?
What, you said you don't want to use one of your
First of all,
credits?
The reason why it's not on because I was trying to be kind and not give you really long films as well.
Oh.
Patton is 3 hours long.
That's all right.
And also, when are we going to watch The Hospital?
Never.
But you will watch Patton.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
That's
true.
true.
Where I'm coming from.
That is true. All right. I will say Hospital for Patton and Stars Born for Wages of Fear. But both, you have my word, will be on rotations. He's like,
okay, so we're not watching The Hospital.
Well, listen, that's my suggestions for Vito.
Your suggestions are we take away The Hospital
for Patton, and we take away Wages of Fear for Stars Born. Also, Stars Born is just the slightest bit newer in like a very
interesting
eccentric list.
You feel tethered by that, do you? Okay, so Tampopo is definitely out, you're saying.
I think so. I am interested. You definitely hooked me in there.
Maybe there's another food movie coming out.
Yeah.
We can pair it up.
We can probably pair that.
Wouldn't it be a terrible special?
Sure. I mean, I would love to cover The Big Night. So,
right.
There are food movies that we can do.
There's another one, too, that we have. Well, Big Night. We did cover Taste of Things on the podcast.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, and we covered Pig.
Yeah, we did. And Menu and stuff. There's others though. There's definitely others out there.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so
I don't know what Wages of Fear are. I think that is very interesting to pair with Sorcerer.
okay, then I would almost push us to do that soon.
Okay.
That's almost the one I was not most excited, but I'm excited for you to see that original film.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's close, what's not? Does it hit in better places or not? You know what I mean?
And just like revisit Sorcerer as well, as far as like a direct comparison. I think that's cool.
Okay, word. Okay, so
Star is Born.
So Star is Born for the Wages of Fear. Okay, that's very equal swap. That makes
very,
sense.
very easy trade.
And that's kind of all I'm willing to budge on.
No, what do you mean? I want to watch Patton.
Okay.
Yeah!
Here's the official list, folks. We have 2018's A Star is Born. You can rent it on Amazon. We then have 2013's Starred Up. You can rent that on Amazon. 1970's Patton on Amazon. And some of these are Prime, some of these are renting.
Yep.
We then have 1957's Paths of Glory, which again you'll have to rent, and The Long Voyage Home on Max from 1940.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a killer list. And I like that there's a long stretch of years there.
It is a long stretch of years. And it's a John Ford film and John Wayne film. That's not a Western.
Yeah, I like that because that's something, even with like John Wayne July, even with getting to a lot of John Wayne's catalog, there are going to be spots like that we're just not going to capture because they're not Westerns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
what year is Patton again? 1970 on the dot?
1970 on the dot.
Wow.
The year after was The Hospital. Yeah. That's fine. I watched The Hospital probably like 3 times.
3 times? All right. Oh, listen, how about I give you the soft promise on The Hospital, and then we'll get to that.
It's fat. It's like an hour and a half, too. It's like an hour and 35 minutes.
What makes you say it's a TV movie? I mean, because that is, I know George C. Scott's career weaves in and out
on the
for
TV
some
movies.
reason. I don't know what was going on, but
I thought I had read that. Well, here's the thing. First of all, it was nominated for the Oscars, so it wasn't just a straight. It wasn't a straight TV film. I thought I had read somewhere that they counted it as a TV movie or something like that. I don't think it is a proper movie. Like I said, I watched it a decent amount, 3 times, maybe 2.5. It's a full-on movie, and it is a medical drama comedy.
a comedy,
and it's George C. Scott. Oh, it's mostly comedy.
Oh wow,
to an extent.
I think that as well is where I'm leaning towards Patton.
Okay, all right.
Once again, no inkling, no, the smallest clue.
What were you expecting? I feel like you were expecting Patton.
I kind of was and I kind of wasn't.
I have no Vince Vaughn once again. No Vince Vaughn on the list.
It's true. There was one. I'm losing it now thinking about it, but it's one of those things where I'm trying to think about it harder. I'm losing it, but no expectations.
Okay, good.
Not for any of these.
Well, I didn't let anybody down then.
Yeah.
Again, that's for 2 weeks, folks. That's not for next week, but this gives Vin a little bit of time to watch all those films.
I love it.
Okay, so with that, that's a big old tangent. We're going to go and jump on to the biggest film of the week. Vin and I sat down in theaters together to go see Snow White.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we want to get around, ever talk about everything that has to do with it. This was supposed to come out last year or even 2 years ago. It was mild with all kinds of controversies. There was like 4 different controversies around this.
Maybe even 6 arguable.
Literally.
There's controversies within controversies.
And I think the biggest thing is, at the end of the day, what is the product we get? The reason why this was supposed to come out 2 years ago, maybe it's last year, I can't remember.
No, I think there's a 2-year window, and then it was 1 year delay, and then another 1 year delay.
Because Snow White was Disney's kind of first IP. It was the first film they came out with, and they made their bones, they cut their teeth on Snow White. And so for the 100-year anniversary, they wanted to redo Snow White. It was supposed to be a very big deal. It was supposed to come on the 100th anniversary, which it didn't end up doing, which right away is just like pathetic and ridiculous.
Yep.
That's what we're dealing with. It is starring Rachel Zegler and also Gal Gadot playing the evil queen. We'll take it back and forth. You set it up, and we'll see how this unravels.
Well, folks, for a movie that I genuinely had no desire to cover, it has been an absolute firestorm for Disney's latest critical and financial blunder. From outcries of wokeness and review bombing, take a look at IMDb if you want to see some bloodshed there. The much more concerning $240 million budget for a movie no one was asking to be remade. Controversies and delays could not keep me away from Snow White. To start, I think I do need to adjust kind of my ongoing theory for these Disney releases. In the past, we've talked about the 3 types of offerings coming out of Disney proper. One, you have your typical animated movies, which we've commented many times, kind of blurs the purpose on owning Pixar in the first place if both are just going to release 3D animation projects. It's like, okay, just give it all to Pixar. They'll probably do a better job. Or maybe not. 2, the classic Disney villain flipped into an origin story, which honestly might die off soon. It's been a while since we've gotten something announced in this style. And lastly, the live-action remake that is barely live-action because of the amount of CGI involved, and usually with half of the amount of songs. It's that last point that I need to revise, because, in fact, the last couple of releases in this category of Disney has way more songs than I've ever expected, and Snow White is absolutely included. The 1937 original barely having 6. You can maybe stretch that to 8 with some revises, and this having a whopping 14 unique tracks. Jesus.
No.
Yeah, 14.
We didn't sit through 14 songs.
14.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. I went through it all. Same thing. There's reprises that you can argue maybe even 16. But there is a lot more music. I mean, over double the amount of songs.
I heard that they cut 2 original ones, too. Meaning that they're adding things.
Yeah, absolutely. They needed to already trim some fat. I'm saying trim it even further.
Well, sure, but I would say if you're getting, don't make 2 new songs. Just go to the old stuff.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. There's just so much there that... these latest releases in this kind of category of remakes for Disney that at first I thought, they kind of cut songs from the original because it's kind of a different style. It's either more serious or more melodramatic, any of those the angles that these remakes have had. But as of late, and specifically to Snow White 2025, is that, wow, is it way more songs than I ever expected. Despite what the moms of the internet might tell you, though, Snow White 2025 is pretty by the books as far as a fairy tale goes, with little to deviate from its original that would otherwise just be highlighted by the nearly 90-year gap in productions. The Princess Snow White, played by Rachel Zegler, is born into a magical kingdom that is both peaceful and thriving through everyone working together. To illustrate how simple the story is, Gal Gadot plays the evil queen who bewitches Snow White's father and transforms the kingdom into a vain echo of its former glory. Literally no other name, just Evil Queen. I'm sorry, reservation for Queen? Oh, I'm sorry, first name, Evil. like evil, I don't know. I will say, first and foremost here, folks, trust me, I was just as annoyed as Rachel Zegler's kind of tasteless self-bashing of this movie before release, especially in this 2-year gap.
Yeah, she's pretty off-putting.
Yeah, but maybe there is a small sliver of truth to needing to upstate some things in the story, and that's just the evil queen. I feel like as soon as you bridge that over to live action from animation, I don't know, she's talking with just soldiers. What are they just referring? Are they calling her evil queen?
It's the queen.
It's just that.
It's just
that's
the queen.
The rug over their eyes. That is just evil queen. Ridiculous. Anyway, Snow White is driven from the castle and flees into the forest, where she finds 7 magical dwarves and 7 merry men that will help her rediscover what she knew all along, that all we need is each other to stand up for what is fair and true. There's a lot going on here, folks. And it's not, again, like I said, regardless of the firestorm on the internet around this movie right now, it really, I don't mean to disappoint, it's not horrifically bad. I would honestly probably enjoy it quite a lot more if it was horrifically bad, because I would have a punching bag this week.
Right.
Instead, Alto Knights was my punching bag this week, and I don't regret it at all. Let me get a quick nitpick out of the way, and sorry for the spoilers for the animated movie Wish from 2023, a couple of years back, but in the end of that movie, Chris Pine plays the villain. His kind of end downfall is he becomes the magic mirror, and I just assumed that he would be the voice for the magic mirror in all of Disney canon moving forward, but nope, they kicked him out for some random dude. And I think it really just makes Wish retroactively pointless now, or maybe I should realistically say more pointless than it was already was.
There you go. Yep. Okay, very good.
Yeah. But just a small little nitpick because
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I also think about the 2-year gap of just like maybe this was going to be the live action slate to follow up Wish's, November release. What was that? That was kind of like a holiday release. I forget when we covered Wish. Yeah,
Don't remember.
Yeah, for real.
That's for sure.
It just like I don't know. Was this part of one of the many re-edits, reshoots that we get in this 2-year window?
No, no.
No, you don't think so?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
It's had plenty of other problems going on.
It's got plenty of other problems going on. It's just a small nitpick from me on that. Let's talk about performances, though. Like I mentioned, both of our lead actresses were center to a lot of the pre-controversy with this film. However, one has the skills to pay the bills, and the other very much does not. Rachel Zegler is thankfully casted to her strength here. From her breakout role in West Side Story, the West Side Story remake, that is, done by Spielberg, her singing, honestly, is one of the only things keeping the new song additions acceptable, and believe me, there are a lot of them. For classic songs, on the other hand, I felt like this reminded me a lot of when we covered the Little Mermaid remake, in a good way, where the hit songs, the heavy hitters, are almost understood to be super important, understood to be paramount, almost above anything else in the film. And I feel like these lead actresses really give their all for those hit songs. A good example is Whistle While You Work in this one, where kind of like my commentary of, I forget the actress. I think it's Halle Berry. It's not Halle Berry. I think it's Halle Bailey in Little Mermaid, the Little Mermaid remake.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where there's some moments where it's like, wow, this sounds the slightest bit a little better than the original even. And I feel like there's just an understanding that the hit songs, the heavy hitters, there needs to be really, they're putting their all into that. And I feel like that was a factor here.
You felt like they were doing that.
Yeah. On the old songs. Unlike Little Mermaid, though, it is much easier to spot these kind of new Broadway bland additions to the soundtrack. And that really just brings me to Gal Gadot, who is not only way out of her comfort zone singing at all, but gets solo songs for some reason that are just complete trash and could have easily been edited out. I mean, the fact that he said, they're cutting 2 songs with this, cut like 6, maybe get 2 original songs that not in the original, or 2 original songs to this new remake. Her side of this just really reminded me of the garbage we got in Mufasa, where Mads Mikkelsen similarly was out of his comfort zone and probably gave us one of the worst songs in Disney history.
Yeah,
really,
that was a rough one. Yeah,
really, what the hell were you thinking, bad?
Bye.
Yeah, it's so bad. That's really, where it kind of boils down to controversy, all the firestorm of the internet
noise
aside, like the movie itself. I feel like it has a decent performance from Zegler singing-wise, just because that's like her comfort zone. But Gal Gadot, man, like...
I don't...
It didn't bother you?
No.
Really?
The whole movie was bad in my eyes. So
true.
It's just like... Did she help it sink it more, or was she just part of one... She was just one hole of the many holes that helped sink the boat.
Yeah.
You're right. Where Rachel Zegler belongs... in Broadway.
Right. And
I don't really love her. I
don't know if you want to put it on podcast, but like you describe it perfectly. She's just like a theater kid.
She is a theater kid.
Yeah,
totally theater kid. Well, and
absolutely.
as you say, Broadway bland, and that's how I view her as an acting, as a talent on screen to watch in a movie.
Right.
I see her as Broadway bland, where she's not overdoing it completely, like some of the extras on like Rings of Power on Amazon. But
Catching Strays.
Right. I get why she has been getting lead roles. I think she makes more sense in the West Side Story for sure.
Yeah.
But she is a theater kid, and I think kind of she belongs in the theater. Gal Gadot, on the other hand, is trying, and I don't think she wasn't as bad as I thought she was going to be.
Okay.
So I'm not saying like Gal Gadot had a great performance, but I don't think it torched the film. I think the film in general was a failure in a lot of ways, and she was just one of the small things that made it so.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I have to say with that.
Yeah, and honestly, nearly everything else for me was not acceptable, but generically acceptable. Like generic in the sense of like I'm just like, whatever kind of acceptable.
I have weak tea. I said there's no real heart in this, especially for like this 100-year reboot from this film that set the company off.
Sure.
In the first place,
Sure.
just the heart is not there, and the blandness of it. It is a cigarette that dropped in a puddle. It's never gonna get lit.
Wow.
And the movie never gets
right,
lit.
and it never takes off. I think that's great.
You think it just never does. Actually,
Yeah,
it is consistently.
Yeah.
That is the movie in a
You're just kind of
nutshell.
sitting through it with, I don't know, whether you're taken there by your grandparents, like most of
Right.
our theater.
It's just a shame. There's no depth to it. There's no heart. You can't feel the passion behind this project at all. What did you think about we have to talk about the dwarves and what they looked like. Did it bother you? Did it not bother you?
Sure. I mean, really my only note here is that, considering one of the big reworks in that 1 to 2 year time period was the Seven Dwarves, I feel like I actually thought their design and the CGI was halfway decent.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it.
I think their appearance kind of strikes a balance between stylistic and cartoonish of the original that I feel like is rare for these projects, but also way more rare to be completed in a 1 year crunch window. Like when we look at like MCU side of Disney,
Right.
the crunch windows for the CGI, it always comes out looking horrible. So how did these dwarves look halfway decent and also maybe have some vision behind like how they're supposed to look from the old cartoon?
Yeah, I was hearing headlines. People watched it like kind of shitting on it, being like, they look this uncanny valley. They look so weird. Da da da. And I don't know. You watch it, it's like something about this kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't think they were so hyper real where it was freaking you out. But I don't think they were so grotesque or fake looking that it took you out of it. I think they naturally kind of looked. They surprisingly did a good job with it, in my opinion.
And I guess I can kind of understand the uncanny valleyness of it, but they are based off of real actors. Like Dopey is a good example. Dopey looks almost identical to his real counterpart.
Yeah, it's such a funny controversy.
Oh, really?
Well, with the dwarves.
Oh, yes,
the dwarves. Like Peter Dinklage came out. Correct me if I'm wrong. The big thing was like Peter Dinklage came out, and then a fanfare came out saying like it's like disrespectful to cast actual dwarves as dwarves. Like we're so much more than that, right? So then there's just like, oh shit, okay, so let's go use fake dwarves.
Yep.
And then the dwarves that the actual actors that were acting as the dwarves then got really mad.
Yep.
And then people were on their side because like we just lost work.
Yeah, exactly.
We were just in a major movie.
That's friendly fire.
And that like we're not even in the credits anymore.
Yeah.
It's
There's also somewhere in the timeline that the Seven Merry Men that we get were going to be the dwarves as well. I think
of them?
Yes, just like beat for beat.
Well, the one I could definitely tell.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know.
And maybe there's a carryover there, but somewhere in that is that in response to the controversy, in the floundering that they're trying to do, they're just trying to put the fire out, that those were going to be just the dwarves, and the reshoots that were going to happen, that on top of that were going to be reshoots.
Right.
They were just going to be the Seven Dwarves, and they were going to be Dopey, Sleepy, yada, yada.
I'll have to look into that.
Which is crazy.
I knew they were some were pissed because they didn't get work in the end.
Yeah. Well, Peter Dinklage, next time keep your mouth shut. Friendly fire. But yeah, I think that's a good point of like where I can't really chew this up. This by no means was good.
No.
This was blandly acceptable, and that's honestly my thinking on all these Disney remake releases.
I think it's worse than blandly acceptable.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do think it's a tick below that.
I just think,
That's
like,
my personal preference.
when I go down and, like, trying to think about the specific things to cut into for my criticism of this movie, I think about, like, the dwarves, and it's just, like, there's definitely some aspects there that I didn't love, but there is something there that, I don't know. It's not enough to complain about. And just to call back to some of this Firestorm Online, folks, you go on IMDb, it is fluctuating between a 1.9 and 2 point something rating.
That almost never happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's even more conflicted on Rotten Tomatoes, more conflicted on Metacritic. It's just like, well, people definitely don't know how to make up their minds on this. I really do sit with my own opinion of like how I view these movies, and I don't think it was like outright horrible. It was not enjoyable. I'm not certainly like recommending to watch it, but there was just like something here is just, I don't think it was the absolute dumpster fire that,
There
what
you
would
go.
that be?
Yeah, sure.
A 19 on my rating? No, that's not it. So I certainly wasn't expecting a big ending out of this, but somewhere it just really fizzles out. And especially for in that finale, what I'm walking away with is mostly that it just kind of doesn't stick the landing, and even where it incorporates certain things like the poison apple and things very iconic to Snow White, kind of feel rushed at the very end. Maybe I would feel differently if we covered the original, or at least would have more to unpack in the comparison of it, or maybe at bare minimum illustrate how good the original still can be with the blandness of what this is, and kind of let the difference between the two scores speak. My feelings on all these Disney remakes will never change until they change. They are bland imitations of projects that are brought to life by animation specifically. What makes Disney classics is that the animation is alive. The animation, it goes back to Aladdin. The genie in Aladdin was given life on screen because of Robin Williams' real persona. They use that as a cartoon, a expression of what Robin Williams is. That is the magic of these Disney animation projects, and until they can tackle that in a new way or create something with as much vision, then these remakes are just moneymaker remakes. And no amount of online hate or intentions to remake the film in either direction will let it escape what we call the puddle. We're going to go ahead and give Snow White 2025 a 51.
Wow, a 51.
Yep.
Okay. I think you're being pretty charitable.
Yeah, I but it's really how I do feel. I don't think I'm raising my pitchforks on this one. I mean, again, is a 51 good? Is a 51 a recommend?
Right,
No.
of course, yeah.
But I feel like there is something that this was just
It was good enough.
yeah, blandly acceptable.
Okay,
and
wow.
I will forget about it very soon.
And it is, and it makes that almost uniquely frustrating because, like you said, you almost wished it was worse.
Yeah.
Because then it would make it
Right,
more enjoyable to kind of dislike. At least there's
for
more
sure.
to hate.
And especially when the expectation of this is something in like possibly single digits, the internet is in a uproar over this. But I really do think no credit to either side of the controversy, but that's just noise. That's not the quality of the movie anymore. That's the perception of everything around the movie, not the movie itself.
Sure. Well, 51%. Okay.
You got to give something. Because clearly you wanted to chew into this a bit more.
I don't know. No, honestly, I'm walking away of it not really. I thought I was going to want to hate it more, and I do dislike it, and I don't love. I hate everything about it. I hate that there is controversy around it.
Sure.
I hate how Disney films these days. There's so much more outside of the film, and it takes you out of it, and it's just not what Disney is or what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be its own magical world where things can happen and fairy tale and yada yada. And the fact that it's just like part of the news cycle again is annoying, and the product
exhausting, really.
And the product you get is like that's what we're getting now. That's a big thing of why I kept on saying that there's no heart to this, there's no depth. It doesn't feel it I don't know, when you have all of the crew really into it or understand the importance of something, it changes a film, and you can almost feel that through the screen.
Yeah,
and you're not anywhere near that with this or a lot of Disney properties lately. So, I mean, I definitely would give it a worse score than this, but I am in the same boat of just like, well, you know what? It wasn't hot garbage.
Yeah, right.
It just wasn't good in any way.
Yeah.
And it's uniquely frustrating. I think these 45s to 55s with you are these films, especially the ones I see with you. It's like, you walk out going, yeah, okay.
Right.
Wasted the time. It's just, am I angry at it? No.
Right.
At the same time.
It's almost not worth getting angry over because it was so like bland.
Exactly.
And that's where I look at again, IMDb doing 1.9 stars.
That's surprising.
On this. Yeah, and I think it's improved from now, but I look at that and saying like, one, it's clearly review bombing. Two,
I don't know if
I
it
don't
is.
think
because no one goes to IMDb to do that. IMDb
True that.
Like
True that. Who's spending time on?
no one.
on their forums.
It would be on Rotten Tomatoes. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is actually the best score out there.
Yeah.
And it's a stupid score. Like,
Right.
that's just a wrong score.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't know.
Like think about kids in our theater. We had a packed theater to the point where Vin and I were looking like a bunch of weirdos. This theater was packed, and the reactions to audiences were like it was quiet.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
snoozer.
yeah.
But that's where I look at like the real outrage, like the real anger behind this. And it's like that's clearly not about the movie, because the movie has no chance of making you this angry because of how like bland it is.
Correct. It's about everything outside of it.
Exactly.
It's about Rachel Zegler being obnoxious and whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, one of 6 possible controversies that hit you in the craw.
That touch it. It has touched this film.
Exactly. So
Rachel Zegler. I was just watching the one where she was saying something about. It was just gross, talking about how, like, wherever she goes, people love her, and people will always wait in line to see her. It was shocking how, like, I was like, "Oh, this is an unlikable people."
Yeah, she's the evil queen. She's becoming
kind
vain.
of. Oh, and another thing, the evil queen, Gal Gadot is way too attractive to be in this role. It's true. The point of this character is to be like not as pretty as she thinks that she is.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
I mean. Yeah.
And you just pick like the most beautiful woman.
Yeah, true.
It's like, no, mirror on the wall. You're kind of wrong on this.
Yeah, if only the mirror on the wall told her how to act. That'd be really helpful. Mirror, mirror, please help me.
Oh, any finishing notes, Vin? Anything for next week? Roll credits. What are we talking here?
Well, next week, like I said, another 3 spot. Thankfully, though, I mean, both of our lives a little busy right now. But next week we got Woman in the Yard, Working Man, and Death of a Unicorn. We'll see. I really don't have too big of opinions on any of these.
Working Man is the most interesting, though.
I guess so. Isn't that sad to say?
Beekeeper was the sleeper hit last year. There were multiple people that were just like, don't actually sleep on Beekeeper.
Right, yes. And that's where we give it a spig. Like, it is absolutely so bad it's good to watch.
Well, bro, it's in the 60s.
It's still a spig.
All right, folks, that's for next week. We'll also catch you on the new show on Tuesday morning. Vin, thank you so much for watching these, stopping by here tonight, dealing with the birthday movies. Folks at home, we'll run these down one more time. So we have Ash with a 60%, the Alto Knights with a 42%, and Snow White with a 51%. Not the strongest week, but that's okay. As always, folks, it's always a blast, and we'll see you next week right here on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. And just a reminder that the Daily Ratings is completely producer supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com, and while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast.